friends, this is Miss J here, and I'm going to be cooking some chicken and cheese enchiladas. And I soon realized that I wore the wrong sleeves for cooking. This is very dangerous, so I don't want my sleeves to catch on fire, so I'm going to try to tuck them in. Miss T knows, she always tells me about this when we're in the kitchen. And then I'm going to wash my hands first. I'll have to wash my hands a few more times because I'm going to be touching raw chicken. Let me just make sure we're recording here. Oh, hold on. Sorry. I have to record for all my classes, so I just want to make sure. Okay, we are. All right, so let's talk about ingredients. I have a pan here with a little bit of oil to cook the chicken in. I have olive oil. I have a Mexican cheese blend. A couple of chicken breasts. Then I have all the spices. I have cumin, onion powder. This is a chili lime powder, salt, a little bit of paprika for color and smokiness, and garlic powder, pepper, black pepper, and just a little bit of taco seasoning. I like the flavor of this. It adds a smokiness to it, but I don't like to put too much on there because it can also tend to be salty. So I have a large sharp knife for cutting my chicken. I also have tortillas. I usually like to use bigger tortillas. I thought I had them. I don't. These are not the 12-inch tortillas. These look more like probably 6 inches. What I'm going to do, usually I fold the tortilla over like this when I'm cooking it and making a quesadilla. But since these are too small, I might just cook them flat and put another one on top of it and then cut them that way and not fold them at all because they're smaller. All right, so I also have this. Remember, this is one of our words. This is a baster. It's instead of using a syringe bulb type of thing to keep the meat or tortillas moist, I'm going to use this and put a little bit of olive oil over the tortilla later. You'll see. But first I'm going to cut my chicken. It's already washed and put in this bag. We have some mariachi music for ambiance because this is a Mexican meal. And I'm going to cut the chicken in bite-sized pieces because I don't want anyone to have to take a knife to the quesadilla. You shouldn't have to. Quesadilla is like a nice finger food. You can make them when you have company as an appetizer. You can make them as a meal. You can make them completely vegetarian if you want. Vegetable quesadillas are very good. A lot of times I put pepper and onion and mushrooms and spinach. Beans, black beans is really good are really good in a tortilla. Corn. Anything that adds Mexican flavor is good in a tortilla. All right. So I'm going to take the chicken that I cut and I'm going to put them in this bowl. This should be enough for 2 quesadillas. So this is my daughter's lunch. And I might have a bite if there's enough. Okay, I'm going to put this in the sink and I'm going to wash my hands because I already just touched the raw chicken. So I don't want any cross-contamination. I need to wash my hands again. Let me see if My oil's not that hot yet. Usually I test the oil out in a way that's not very safe. I usually put a little bit of water in the oil and see if it bubbles up and shoots back, and then I know that the oil is hot enough. But while we wait for the oil to get hot, I'm gonna take this chicken and I'm gonna season it. So I'm gonna put, cumin is a very popular Spanish spice. I love the way it smells. They use it a lot in Indian cuisine too. I put a lot of this on. It's not spicy, it's not salty. It has a lot of nice flavor. And basically I'm not even measuring. I'm just putting on to our likeness. This is just some onion powder. Garlic powder, I'm very generous with the garlic. These seasonings, this brand, Spice Classics, you can get them in ShopRite, you could get them even in the dollar store, and they're usually like 99 cents to $1 a piece. And you get a lot of spice for that. This is a little bit of paprika. I also put this on eggs. And this is a little bit of chili lime. I think this is really good with the citrus. It gives it a nice flavor. And just a little bit of heat. Heat meaning spice. A little bit of black pepper. Little bit of the taco seasoning. This is a big one. This McCormick, I got this at Costco. If you buy those individual envelopes, they're like $1 and change each. They're expensive. So if you buy this big one, you'll have it for a long time, and it's really the same thing. And I think I got this for $4 and change. It's not coming out. Let me use this side. Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to put in is a little salt. Okay, now I'm going to stir everything together, make sure it's blended. That was one of our words, blended or incorporated. Make sure all sides of it gets coated. And you can see the chicken changed color. It's reddish color now. So that's because of the paprika and the chili powder and the taco seasoning. It's no longer like that pink color, it's more red. Which means it's nice and seasoned, and now it's ready to cook. And that means the pan wasn't hot enough when I put that in there. It didn't make a sizzle. It will in a minute though. So I want to make sure that the chicken is separated and that it cooks on both sides. So it's going to take probably about 6 minutes or so because I cut them in small pieces, so it's not that thick. This one is too big, but oh well. All right, now it's starting to sizzle a little bit. You could hear it, you could smell it. Can you see it? Okay, while it's cooking, it smells really good. While it's cooking, it's gonna start getting a little browner, and then the inside will get nice and white, and that's how we know that it's done. Halfway, maybe in about 3 or 4 minutes, I will turn them all over so they cook evenly on both sides. But right now, I'm going to take the tortilla and get it ready. So I have the tortilla, it's relatively small, and I'm going to put it on my plate. And then I'm going to take some olive oil that I have in this little container and spread it on the tortilla. And I'm going to baste, which is another one of our words, baste the tortilla so that this side, when I put this side down on the pan, it doesn't stick to the pan. Plus, the oil will help it get a nice golden coat on it and help get the outside nice and crunchy. because that's what you want. The outside to be somewhat crunchy, not burnt, but crunchy. The inside to be nice and chewy and gooey with the cheese and the chicken, nice and moist, and great Mexican flavors. You could use any cheese you want. I like using pepper jack because I just like pepper jack. I like the spice of that. My daughter doesn't like it so much. I use the Mexican blend. This has cheddar and white queso in it, and this has Monterey Jack, but not the pepper jack, so it's not spicy. And this is what she likes. So I'm gonna put some of that on the bottom of the quesadillas, put the chicken over that, and put more cheese over that. The cheese is going to act like a binder. It's going to hold both sides of the tortilla together and let it stick nicely. And then when you cut into that and you take a bite, it's nice and gooey and all the cheese spreads out. And exactly what you like to see. I get excited when I'm thinking about delicious meals. And this is an easy meal. You guys could make this on your own. Just make sure that you have permission to use the stovetop. It's a little tricky to, this is like a stir fry or a frying. Sometimes it's a little tricky to fry because it could come back at you. So you have to be very careful with your clothes and with your skin because it can burn. But if you have permission to do this, maybe your mom or dad could oversee you, and then until you get comfortable doing it, they can watch you and make sure that you're safe. Now notice I didn't put this tortilla in the bowl that I put the raw chicken in, because I don't want any of my food to touch anything that the raw chicken was on. Okay? The raw chicken can cause bacteria, salmonella, all kinds of diseases and food poisoning, and you don't want any of your raw meat to touch any of your other food. Okay? So this is a clean plate, a tortilla, just with a little olive oil on it. I'm going to take my dishwasher. Tongs. All right, I'm going to take the tongs and that was not safe. Flip over my meat a little bit just to make sure that they're cooking on both sides. I'm going to lower the heat a little bit. It's getting nice and brown. Do you see that? All right. And can you guys hear this now? You hear the sizzling? It smells like Cancun in here. Too bad it's raining out. Oh, actually the sun's starting to come out, so. Or maybe like Cabo. That would be a nice destination. Have any of you ever been to Mexico? There are a lot of nice areas in Mexico. There's a lot of not so nice areas in Mexico. So you have to be careful when you go that you stay in areas that are touristy, where there are a lot of other people like you, and hopefully you could, stay safe. But it is a beautiful place. The people are lovely. The food is absolutely delicious. And look, nice and brown. I'm just going to let this cook for like 2 more minutes. Now, the tortillas, there's a lot in this bag. What I do is I keep this in the refrigerator because it'll go bad if I leave it on the counter. I said previously, we're not really bread eaters here. So if I do buy bread, or when I do buy bread, I make sure that I put it in the refrigerator so it lasts longer. These still stay soft in the refrigerator. If you think you're going to use it, what I did was I took it out and I left it on my counter overnight so that they would kind of like thaw out a little bit, but I leave it in the front of the refrigerator, not the back, because the back of my refrigerator tends to get colder, so that they stay soft. So what else can we use tortillas for? I'm going to be like Dora. I like that too. No. So these tortillas we could use for wraps. There's a lot less calories and less carbs in tortillas than in a slice of bread. So if you don't want to fill or use your points or calories for that day on bread, wrapping a tortilla, making a sandwich out of it is a lot smarter. These cook really fast.
Or a hamburger?
Yes, a hamburger. You can make a hamburger. They cook very quickly. I've had people make desserts out of these, like an apple turnover, something like that. A cherry turnover. I prefer using puff pastry for that, or phyllo dough. It is lighter, but sometimes puff pastry has a lot of butter in it if you don't like doing that. All right, I think my chicken is done. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a piece out, a thicker piece. I'm going to take it out and cut it in half just to make sure, okay? Perfect. All right. It's white inside. Open your mouth. Open your mouth. Yum. That's funny. Even the students that don't eat meat have their mouth open. All right. So I'm going to turn this off because I'm done with the heat. And everything is done cooking. I don't think I need to cut these smaller because they're pretty much bite-sized. So I'm going to get rid of the utensils I don't need anymore. So I have more room to cook here. I'm going to unplug my heater. Notice, even though I turned this off and I unplugged it, it's still sizzling. What does that mean? It's still hot. Right. So you have to be careful. It's unplugged. You see the plug? It's not plugged in anymore, and my meat is still cooking. So if you don't want your food to burn, you might want to remove this, take it off of there, and put it on your stovetop for a while. My meat is nice and brown, but it's not burnt. It has flecks of all kinds of spices and flavor all over it. If I were making vegetables, I would probably take the vegetables and put them in there. Peppers and onions are really good with quesadillas. I would take my chicken out, leave the grease and all the seasoning in there, and stir fry my vegetables like that. Get them a nice char on the top and just tender enough that they still have a crunch, but you know, they're not. I'm going to be able to put my quesadillas in that too. So now let me get something to remove this chicken with. All right, so I'm just going to take the chicken out. But first, on my tortilla, because instead of using more plates to take the chicken out, I'm just going to put the chicken straight on the tortilla. So I'm going to use a base of cheese on the bottom. Now, I'm spreading the cheese all over the tortilla because I'm going to be making a whole quesadilla. I'm not folding it in half. If I were folding it in half and it were big enough, I would only put cheese on half of the tortilla and then fold it over. But because I'm going to add another tortilla on top of this, I'm not going to fold it over because I'm going to go like this, like a sandwich straight down. So I add cheese on the bottom. You can never have too much cheese. Come on. So I'm going to put a little more cheese. And then I'm going to put the chicken in there. And I have a slotted spatula so that the oil will seep out and my quesadilla doesn't get greasy. And I'll put some chicken. And now let me spread it around. Ouch. Just burn my foot with the grease. Actually, I have to plug it back in because I need to cook my quesadilla. I don't know what I was thinking. And then I'm gonna put a little more cheese on top of it to bind the tortillas together so they don't fall apart. And then you have like a tortilla sandwich, right? Want it? It's not cooked yet. Not yet. Soon. I'm gonna take the rest of the chicken out. I'm gonna put it on the side of my plate when I make the other one. I have enough chicken to make two, so I will make two. All right, let me put my glasses on, make sure this is on the right heat. Yep, it's medium heat. You don't want it too high because it'll burn fast. Really, you just want to toast this and you want the cheese to melt. All right, I'm gonna push it down a little bit and it's already starting to sizzle around the side. While that's cooking, I'm gonna take my other tortilla and get it ready. And I'll put a little more oil on it. I might not need any, but it keeps the tortilla from getting dried out. Turn this over because that's gonna be side down. And then cheese on the bottom layer. Black olives would be good in this too if you like black olives. If you don't, jalapenos would be nice. Green chilies. There's a lot of ways to sneak in veggies and you don't notice that they're there. This one has more chicken. I'll probably give this one to my daughter. Aren't I a nice mom? Don't answer that. And more cheese on the top of it. Okay. And one last tortilla to make my sandwich and cover it up. And then let me get her a plate. So now her tortilla is sizzling on the bottom. You can see the cheese is starting to melt, but I'm not going to flip it over just yet. This seems like a long video. I know it might be a long video. I hope it's not a boring video. It's better when you're here cooking because you're interacting with other people and listening to music and talking. That's what's really nice about cooking. I'm not going to lie, I don't enjoy doing it every day all the time, but cooking, I think it brings families together. Mealtime brings families together. It's one thing that we all have in common, no matter what your denomination, your race, nationality, anything. That's one thing that I think we all share is our love of family and cooking and sharing meals together and sharing conversation. It's really called breaking bread, right? When you break bread with your family and friends, that's the time you probably feel the closest. So I think this is a nice way to interact with your family and also to get you guys to help in the kitchen. So let me see if it's ready to turn over. I want to look at the bottom. Do you see it? Nice and crispy. Okay. And here. Can you hear it? Okay, nice and crispy. So now I'm gonna do the other side. What we're doing is just lightly frying the tortilla so it gets like a golden brown color. And then I'm going to cut it with a pizza cutter. Because pizza cutter is good for more than one thing. Believe it or not, I did clean out this drawer, but I still probably have too many things in there. So this is gonna heat up the other side. My daughter doesn't have lunch till 10:30, which is about the time that we eat. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on a plate, I'm gonna cover it with a paper towel, and then maybe for 20 seconds heat it up in the microwave before she eats it. I'm gonna cut it ahead of time because once it's nice and crunchy, it's easier to slice into, just like pizza. And that's when you'll be able to see the cheese get all nice and gooey and pulley. What I could do now, if I weren't filming, I would put my stuff away, my ingredients away while this is cooking and I'm still monitoring it. I can close up my ingredients. Do you guys remember what this is called? Last time I told you it's called perishables. All right, so I'm closing this up because this is gonna go back in the refrigerator. Hold on one second. Okay. Somebody's coming on that's not supposed to be on, so I'm just muting you. Oh no. Okay. All right. You think we're ready? You know what? My sleeve's in the way again. Not smart, Miss J. Okay, the other one's frying up. I'm gonna let this rest for a quick second and then I'm gonna cut it. Okay. Ankush, is it good? He's too busy straightening up his clothes. You have crunchy little bits of cheese coming out the side. And then I'm gonna cut it. It's hot. Can you guys see? Does it look delicious? You want to taste it, Ankush? Open your mouth. Open. Kendall, open. Mr. George's. It's nice and it's hot and it's crunchy. So the one tortilla, I just divided into 4 pieces like little slices of pizza. And that's gonna be nice for her lunch. And she'll probably eat this with a pear. Why? I don't know, because that's what she eats, apples and pears all the time, so. But if it were me, I just bought something at Trader Joe's that I think would be delicious. I'll show you once I flip this. Well, mine got a little darker, but that's okay, I don't mind it. bought this Fall Harvest Salsa at Trader Joe's. Now this, it's great. I don't know if it would be good with this because it doesn't have those traditional Mexican flavors. Costco sells this really good mango salsa that I love. That would be awesome with this. Maybe a little spicier salsa or a side of queso to dip it in. But this one is very good just with chips or almost anything. It has fruits and veggies like pumpkin, apple, butternut squash in it. So it has a sweeter flavor, but a little spice too. So this one I recommend you buy. I also bought some chips at Trader Joe's that are the shapes of leaves, and they're all different autumnal colors and shapes. This one's not quite done yet. You know what? I'm going to take this, put this in the sink, and I'm going to put a little bit more oil on the bottom. And then, okay. And get a plate out. This was supposed to be my daughter's because it has more chicken in it, but now that it's too brown, I'm thinking she's gonna want this one instead because this one came out just the right color and texture. I don't mind the brown on that. So I'll cover hers up and save it for later. And put this back in the refrigerator. And I'm going to ask you guys what ingredients are in the quesadillas, so you better remember. That's going to be part of your grade today. Including spices. So take another look. Onion powder. Cumin. Garlic. Paprika, chili lime powder, pepper, black pepper and salt, and a little bit of taco seasoning. And then olive oil to coat the bottom of the pan. And this one looks like it's probably done too. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to let it sit here before I cut it for a second. See, this one's browner. And it has a nice crust on the perimeter of it of just cheese, burnt cheese. What's better than that? Some people think burnt cheese is gross. Sometimes that's the best part. All right, now I'm really going to turn my pan off and unplug it. This is going to be hot. Remember, this is still hot, even though I unplugged it. I can feel the heat all the way up here. So even to touch the surface of it and move it over. You have to remember, too, that it also heats the bottom of it, of whatever surface it's on. So you don't want to put it on anything that isn't heat protected. My counter is heat protected. The island is metal, so that's heat protected. Your stovetop, obviously. And if you don't have something that's heat protected, what you could do is put a trivet on it. I bought these on Amazon. They're just cork. They're cork trivets. So I could lay that down and then put this hot plate on top of it just to make sure my surface is safe. I could put hot pans on. I could put that pan that I just put in the sink on top of it and serve from the table if I wanted to do that, if I was making fajitas and I want my my skillet to stay hot, you know, and to serve right out of the skillet, I could put that on this. All right, I'm gonna cut into this last one and then that'll be it. So let's make sure you guys can see it. hear my dog playing outside in the leaves. It rained so much last night, and the wind just like it. My trees look almost bare. There are so many leaves on the ground right now. It really looks like fall. All right, let me show you. Don't be jealous. This is the next one. See the cheese melting? Open up, open up. Here you go. With melting cheese and nice brown chicken. And now, the taste test. You should be jealous. It's very good. 2 thumbs up. I put a little bit more spice in it. Maybe like red pepper flakes, something like that. Pepper jack cheese would hit the spot, but that's delicious. All right. So that's chicken and cheese quesadillas. I will see you guys next time. My class, stay right there. I'm going to go onto the other computer and I'm going to test you on this recipe.